Well, I mean, with the COVID restrictions that we've had, we have seen hundreds of nurses being stood down from their nursing roles in DHBs, and I think those restrictions should be lifted. We have a workforce shortage in New Zealand. There are many people that would love to work, but because of the health workforce vaccine mandates, they've been forced not to work, and I don't think that's right. So I've actually written to the new COVID minister, Ayesha Verrall, on her first week of being appointed, and asked, because we've had a new strain of Omicron, which is less infectious with those terrible effects from COVID, and we're able to now have people who have had COVID as nurses go back into the hospitals, but only the nurses who haven't had the vaccine can't return to work. Is she going to change the rules? And I think she should, so that we can get those really valued nurses back into their jobs. So I'm hoping that she'll come back with some advice to act, stating what has changed, if anything, and whether she will change her mind.
Okay, there's also the aged care workers. Some of them have been put out of jobs as well.
Yeah, and that's the same for all nurses across the healthcare sector. I've also talked to chiropractors who have been saying that in their town there's now maybe only one chiropractor or no chiropractors at all because they have been forced not to work because of the vaccine mandates. And I think, we live in a voluntary society, and if somebody wants to have a midwife or a chiropractor or a nurse give a service to them, it shouldn't matter whether they've been vaccinated or not. We should allow for that choice.
Well, it is under the Bill of Rights as well, isn't it, that you should be able to refuse a medical procedure?
It is under the Bill of Rights that you do have the ability to refuse a medical procedure. But what I'm feeling is that through the last 2 years, we've been seeing New Zealanders lose a bit of faith about common humanity and that we all have rights in New Zealand. And one thing that I want to see going forward is that we can unite behind good ideas. We know that we have a workforce shortage within the whole of the healthcare sector. So I say let chiropractors go back to work, let nurses go back to work, let aged care practitioners go back to work. It shouldn't really matter if they've been vaccinated or not.
Right. And what about the COVID Act? Should that be repealed?
Oh, well, ACT for months has been saying that we should move on from the COVID restrictions and just move on, especially with Omicron coming through the border. It has changed the rules of the game completely. We knew for months that MIQ was no longer worthwhile, but the government kept it there anyway for an unnecessary amount of time. We know that the contact tracer app, that was kept in place for a really long time when we knew it was no longer effective. When things change, we believe public policy should change too, and the government's laws should reflect that. So we're just saying, look, let's have common sense ideas. We need workers, let them work.
And so what would you say is your overall policy on freedom of the individual?
Oh, well, the ACT Party truly believes in individual rights, personal responsibility and individual freedom. It's really important that every New Zealander knows that they have the same rights under the law, and it's really important to me that everybody feels respected and has common dignity. So the ACT Party is the party for the smallest minority, and that's the minority of the individual. And so we believe in freedom of choice, freedom of association, etc., etc. Everything that we do is act for freedom.
And what would you say to the small businesses who've been trashed through the COVID thing?
Oh, I have talked to countless number of business owners who have been telling us it's really, really hard with COVID. I'll give one example. I talked to an early child care facility owner who said that at any given time they are constantly calling up parents and saying, are you okay to keep your kid at home today because somebody else in our facility can't come to work because there's someone in their home now has COVID and they can't come to work. So there's a real constraint on productivity, and we're creating a huge problem with people unable to have their cafes operating because their chef might be isolating with somebody else in their home. We're seeing it throughout the economy. I think we need to get back to basics and say that the role of government is to actually provide good public policy, and when they're putting restrictions on people's freedoms, actually have the ability to counter that and the ability to say maybe things have changed and maybe we should reflect and maybe we should change the laws.
Thank you very much.